Hello, everyone. Let me get back into the subject that I've talked about. I'm going to start with Exodus 4:11 again. And the Lord said unto him, this is Moses, and he's he's at the talking to the burning bush. Doesn't want to go to Egypt. Thinks that he doesn't speak well enough. So the Father says to him, and the Father said unto him, who hath made man's mouth, or who maketh the dumb, or the deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Father? So again, when I did talk about this before, but it gets into that teaching of free will that always seems to be a big stumbling block for Christians and Catholics. I think, like other religious groups, maybe like Buddhist and stuff, and they have a better understanding of that kind of stuff. But yeah, Christian Catholic, they tied it up into, we have free will, we have free choice. That's what makes us, makes us who we are. Separates us from the animals and stuff. And again, partly that is true because we experience it like we are making a choice. And it might be, well, this is a person talking, and they might make the argument, well, I decided to go to college. That was my choice. I have free will. And again, it's like, well, did you really choose that? I mean, the Father is the beginning and the end. He is only one that can move forward and control that or go back. He controls the whole spectrum. So if you think that your choices are really yours, you would be outside of the Father's will. And, even Emmanuel prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane to lift that burden from him of going to the cross and getting crucified. And he couldn't. He had to do the Father's will. And he is the Father in flesh. He is the vessel that the Father is choosing to work through. So again, he has to follow the Father's will because he is in all things. He is us. So, if you are kind of like this person that wants to say you have choice or free will, you are saying you can control the future. You yourself are controlling the future. And then if you say that, then you could say, well, why can't you change what happened in the past? If you can control the future, you can control the past. And they're like, well, the future hasn't been determined yet. Well, you say that, but that's not what the Bible says. The future has already been determined. Your life, he knew you before he formed you in your mother's womb. It says that in Jeremiah 1:5. So, yeah, you put it to a person that way, and they might be like, well, that's different because the future is, my choice because it hasn't happened yet, and I can make this. And then, you're forgetting that, if you choose to go to school, somebody may not choose to go to school. You go to buy a textbook and you want to buy the used textbook instead of the new textbook, and somebody else buys the new textbook. It's just everything you do affects everybody else. Every molecule is affected by every other molecule. So to say that you have choice over that makes... Now, he gives you this feeling of you, you're moving in his creation, in his space, and you're able to have thoughts and think and do things, but it's all the Father's control. Now, it feels, that's what, it is an experience of being a human being that you don't get in an animal kingdom. So somebody who invents something miraculous that makes mankind better, he himself is used by the Father to give you that, to give the world, his creation, that at the time he wants it. Nothing is outside of his time. And, and he's on, we experience time, but we don't control time. So to say, well, in the future, I'm going to do this and do that, and you think that you really are the one making the choice, again, it is like you are manipulating time, because you forget that all the other people are working with you, around you, and all their choices too. And the Father controls all of that. He is, that's what the Bible says. I'm the beginning and the end. I make the deaf person deaf. You can't, if you're deaf, you can't unmake yourself deaf. Now, maybe you get some kind of hearing aid or some kind of surgery, but that's because the Father allowed that. He allowed that technology to be given to the world. So again, the free will thing, it gets inserted and taught when it's really not in the Bible. Moses, had to go down to the Pharaoh, and he got help. The Father gave him help. And, the Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Again, the Father worked the Pharaoh's heart. He had no choice. And again, it's just all this stuff that we know as history in the world. It was always the Father there working behind the scenes. And that's where it's going to move to the future. People are going to realize that, everything that's going on in the world can't be put as a blame on any one person. And we're all subject to the Father. And everything that happens, whether it may be the president putting some sanctions on another country, or this country wanting to fight us, and wars that will happen, and food shortages, all this is controlled by the Father. And, the choice that you feel that you have will start to boil down to, more or less, it's not that you are in control of the future or the past. You are not. All this is boiling down to is he chose you before the foundation of the world. So he is leading you to be either a child of light or a child of the dark. And light, what does light have to do with darkness? What does darkness have to do with light? Nothing. They are separate. Now, to know both is to be, we were made in the image of the Father. He says in the garden, I will, to be as me, you will know both good and evil, which is true. And you will die, which is also true. The Father was using the animal, the snake, to speak to Adam. The snake is not the devil or Satan. And, it says, you are as your father, you are a liar as your father from the beginning. Well, who was the first to lie? It was Adam. He hid in the garden from the Father, thinking he could hide, thinking he had, his own will. Of course, the Father knew. So he is the liar. It's not a saint and a devil. He's the one that chose to listen to Eve and go against the commandment and then hide. And then from that, his seed was judged. He had Cain, who was good, and bad, and then Abel, who was good. And then that's gone on from that time. And then we are coming to the final days where sin is judged. So sin is just going to be more and more prevalent in everybody's lives until they're just sick of it and they want to do away with it. And, to blame the devil or blame the Antichrist is not really what the church is taught. It's going to be the Father giving you truth, and you believe the lie for so long and you feel comfortable in the lie that you just say, oh, there he is. Look at him. He's changing things. He's making things different. Well, because you believe the lie, so you're going to see this person changing things, which he's just pointing out your sin, and say, oh, he's the Antichrist. And then again, the Father works through this vessel, and he is not trying to be like he was with Emmanuel, where he was doing healing and stuff. That was for the sign of in the days of darkness, that so today we would have his word and we would still be able to recognize him. So that's part of the thing. You have to recognize the Father in flesh by how he speaks and how he changes things. But like, he isn't going to make it a sign where he just would appear as like a superhuman or like a Superman, like from the comic books. It's just not going to be that way. So yeah, we're faced with this thing of free will, and we use it to explain like a way like we're not responsible for the thing, and we don't want to give all our choices are made by the Father. So we created the free will to say that like we are in control, and we're not. And in the days of darkness, since the time of Solomon, Emmanuel was a light to show you that, I and the Father are one. If you see me, you see the Father. I must go so another will come, and I go to a future generation. So we're in that time right now, and no sign is given. It shall be as the days of Noah. So Noah was preparing the ark, telling people like the flood is coming, and they all laughed and scoffed at him. Well, as I am telling you, the days of the Comforter are upon us. And lots of people are going to laugh and scoff. And then when they do finally see this person, they are going to say, oh, he's changing things. I don't want to hear the truth. They're going to go back to their churches and take comfort in their false teachings, because, oh, it's just any day now. It's just, it's bad now. There's this guy's the Antichrist. Just wait. They're going to tell you, just wait on the Father. He's going to take you out and take you into the air. Instead of, you should listen to this person. He's just pointing out your sin. And, to separate yourself from the world and to join him and be a part of the kingdom that will be emergency. It's emerging from all the other nations. So he said, I will make you, to Abraham, I'll make you a nation above all other nations. So the nation of Israel will rise up. And it'll be a little different than the country of Israel that exists now. These will be children all in all the countries, leaving their jobs and their families to be with the Comforter, who's the Father in flesh. And only his words will be the true words and teachings of the Father. And you won't need a book anymore. You just know that that's the vessel. You listen to him, and he will protect you and give you safety. You don't need to carry a book around. Emmanuel didn't carry a book around. Moses didn't carry a book around, because they were the mouthpieces of the Father. And that's how it's going to be. Just know that this vessel knows the beginning and the end, knows all the history, knows where to go and what to do next, because he is the temple of the Father. Just as he guided Moses, people seem to miss the fact that he says, I led you out of Egypt. Well, how did the Father lead you out of Egypt? Because he was in Moses. I think that's where we're going to stop. Talk to you soon. Bye.